Part 27. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 261. Praise the Holy Light. Yabai ate the last bit of popcorn and handed the box to the three-headed hell dog. Under the purification effect of the holy water, only a few drops of the originally vast river of blood were left. The rank of the 9th level war god level vampire prince has also been declining. There's only level 60 left, and now he can't even beat a dog. When the figure of the vampire boss completely solidified, Yabai gave an order. Mistress, come on. Avenge your brother. A black shadow rushed forward. The three-headed hell dog slapped the vampire over with one paw, and then attacked with 3 bites, tearing the vampire's body full of holes. Presumptuous. This vampire, whose background is not inferior to that of Dracula, and whose strength is at the peak of a prince, has never been humiliated like this. He immediately roared and struggled, furious. After getting Shura's permission, Dracula stepped forward and stepped hard on the opponent's old face with his leather boots. You're the one who's so presumptuous. Bang bang bang. Dracula drove the opponent's head into the ice like a pile driver. Accompanied by the rhythmic percussion, Dracula suddenly felt how beautiful it was to not be human. He felt Shura's happiness. That's almost it? Yabai looked at the dying vampire and fell into deep thought. Killed. Seems a bit wasteful. As the boss of the 20th floor, he obviously still has mysteries to solve. Take away. There was already a Dracula in the house. Dracula's daily position is the backup blood bank, so this guy in front of him is the backup blood bank of the backup blood bank. Here are the Matryoshka dolls. Seeing Shura's thoughts, Dracula took the initiative to add. The dungeon under our house is perfect for locking this guy up. There is indeed a dungeon on the negative floor of Evernight Castle. Dracula continued. Although his rank and origin have been severely damaged, he is still essentially a prince-level vampire and can produce hundreds of drops of prince-level blood essence every day. Yabai immediately decided. Take it back, I still have something to ask him. Okay. With Yabai's acquiescence, Dracula raised his right hand, and a bloody magic circle appeared on the white glove. As he chanted, countless blood shackles fell on the opponent, and a silver coffin was summoned, and the vampire who was seriously injured and had not recovered was turned upside down. After doing all this, Dracula took out the sharpened cross stake, pointed it at the opponent's heart, and penetrated it hard. If it were any other vampire who had been subjected to Dracula's routine, he would have been dead. The vampire in the coffin had red eyes and inarticulate roars. The coffin disappeared into the void and returned to Evernight Castle. Dracula must also follow the coffin. He must not leave and stare at the other party. Before Dracula left, Yabai warned. Regarding this guy's background, please make it up carefully, and I will take the time to test you. Dracula. Don't dare to hide anything, noble, devil, master. After bowing slightly, Dracula slowly disappeared. His mission came to an end. After the Blood Prince left, the winter curse of the ice field naturally subsided. The whole world seemed to be awakened in the morning. The warm sun fell on the ice sheet, and the ice surface melted little by little, revealing the black soil. Yabai calculated in his heart. The exploration of the extreme cold village is to solve the 2 problems of hunger and cold. Hungry, Yabai created his own all creatures to bring life back to the land. Before the extreme cold curse dissipated, there were seeds that could grow into buds. Now Yabai is walking on the ice sheet, the power of nature is gentle. All things are born. The Shura sea emerges, spring, summer, autumn and winter, chaos thunder explodes, and reincarnation is determined. The land Yabai walked on was covered with a layer of green grass on the black soil, full of vitality. Taking this opportunity, Yabai also used it to familiarize himself with the effect of all creation. The release of all things requires consuming seawater from the Shura Sea, and can be used up to 3 times in a row. Shura Sea can recover these sea waters by absorbing them in its own exclusive space, without Hawaii paying a penny. Of course, consuming some precious materials can speed up the recovery of Shura Sea. Shura High can be regarded as another kind of magic value. After 2 passes, even Yabai was inevitably a little tired and put away Shura High. He has blessing of the Shura Sea on him, and the effects of all skills relying on the Shura Sea are at 100%. Relying on the effect of all things growing, plus some food left by Yabai, it was enough for the extreme cold village to survive the initial difficulties. After that, they can live a prosperous life whether they are planting or fishing. The exploration levels of each camp popped up in front of Yabai's eyes. Exploration degree of the Arctic Village Camp, 100%. Blue Whale Blue Camp exploration degree, 100%. Exploration degree of Fisherman Norman Camp, 50%. Hey, Norman still hasn't obtained 50% exploration degree. Yabai's figure flashed and he quickly found Norman. Norman was standing on the pier, waving his skinny arms, greeting Blue Whale. Here you are, child of destiny. After discovering Yabai, Norman bowed slightly and said respectfully, I don't like the title Destiny's Child. In other words, I think there is no such thing as destiny. Yabai asked. You still have something you can't let go of? Yes, I have been waiting for you to come to me. The golden sunshine shines on Norman's face, and in front of him is the blue sea. Blue is enjoying playing with the 3-headed hell dog. Norman spoke again, excuse me, can I take a look at the Sea of Life? Can. Yabai paused and explained. The Sea of Life is moved from your dreams. Therefore, in a sense, Norman was the first person to see the Sea of Life. So that's how it is, 100 years have passed. Norman narrowed his eyes, lost in thought, and murmured. That man came and went, and 100 years have passed. Yabai raised his eyebrows, you mean Brother Nightmare, right? Is he your eldest brother? Norman glanced at Yabai in surprise and shook his head. Probably not, the temperament is too different. Cerberus, thank you for being laughed at. Let's go. Yabai didn't want to continue this topic and took Norman on Blue's back. Blue once again embarks on a journey to the Sea of Life. When Norman really saw the sea, he lost his mind again, his eyes were full of trance, and he whispered. What an ugly love. The exploration degree of the Fisherman Norman Camp at 49.99%. This may be a shameless thing to say, but can I ask you to do one last thing? Norman said sincerely. Please take Blue away. He is an innocent child and there is no need to stay in this sad sea. Yabai did not agree immediately, but looked at Blue. What do you think? The 3-headed hell dog pressed Blue's head and made it nod. Well done. Is there no such thing as fate? As Norman said, this is a sea of sadness. A kind-hearted person who calls himself a nightmare, a swordsman in black who doesn't want to leave his name, and a silent old Taoist. Blue, below. The figures of several people appeared in front of him one after another, and Norman said to himself. Even if there is a destiny, let it appear boldly in front of me. In the past 100 years of reincarnation, Norman is not the only one who has memories. Yabai lightly kicked the 3-headed hell dog and gave it a thumbs up in private. 100 years ago, the nightmare first came to the ice field. After Blue bid farewell to him, Yabai sent him to the Shura Sea in his own space, where he was temporarily fostered in a small water tank. Nightmare arranged the canvas, stood on the boat, and shouted loudly. This was Yabai's unintentional remark during the previous conversation between the two. Norman was puzzled, what's the problem? The nightmare wanted to ask fate, tell me, will you have nightmares? Send Norman back to the ice. Things Yabai doesn't know. Before leaving, The two had one last conversation. "Don't be such a dog." It agreed. "I'll ask Destiny a question." Norman asked, "Even if you show up, what can you do?" The two experienced many setbacks and blows, and Norman also chose to give up. Nightmare grinned, and it seemed that there would never be any clouds of sadness on that face, and the sun would always be shining brightly. After he met Norman, he teamed up with him to search for the Sea of Life. In the past 100 years, he has met 4 people who left a lasting impression on him. Norman looked at the direction where Yebai disappeared, and saw countless overlapping pictures in front of him. Nightmare chose to go to sea again. It even imitated Blue's cry, "Bulu Bulu." He accepted his fate. Then, there is the violent mage from before. Finally, Yebai gathered 100% exploration of the 3 camps, and the plot of the 20th floor came to an end. After doing all this, Yebai summoned the Eternal Core Crystal, the white light flashed, and the figure disappeared. Maybe this is the fate of the ice sheet, the inescapable reincarnation, the fate of all of us. The exploration degree of the fisherman Norman Camp at 0.01%. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 262. After leaving the 20th floor, Yebai did not return to the Eternal Core City, but returned directly to the exclusive space. The server-wide announcement of Fives will have to wait a while, as bugs will not be released so soon. Before that, he had some personal things to do. First, I went to the basement to check on the sealed vampire prince. It has to be said that Dracula strikes quickly and accurately. The Blood Prince was so controlled by him that he had no power to fight back. After watching the prisoners, Yebai returned to the ground and found that Blue was having fun in the Shura Sea. Because of Blue's arrival, it seems that Shura High's digestion of materials has become faster. Yebai was pressed for time and only had time to take a brief look before leaving. It just so happened that I met the Fool Master at this time. "Have you gained enlightenment?" Master Fool exclaimed, very surprised. Yebai was very indifferent. "What's all the fuss about? Isn't it just an epiphany? Isn't it very strange?" "Very strange." Master Fool looked at Yebai repeatedly and asked, "How many elements have you integrated?" Before Yebai could refuse, she took the initiative to add, "I'll pay for this problem. You should have told me earlier. Everything is negotiable." Yebai pressed down his hand, "It's not convenient for me to rip off customers now. I have something to be busy with. When I'm done, we'll discuss more money." With that said, Yebai's figure disappeared from the spot, leaving Master Fool behind, muttering absent-mindedly. Level 200 Epiphany skills, at least integrating 2 systems, SSS level talents. Master Fool came to his senses, a helpless smile appeared on his lips. The 4th generation. She had a hunch that once Shura became the most powerful, life for all the demons would be extremely difficult. That day is not far away. After returning to the dormitory, Yebai looked around, and sure enough he didn't find Master Ju. "Now, hurry up." Under the moonlight, he turned into a shadow and ran quickly towards the Eternal Forest. Remember the night tour of the Eternal Tower? Yebai sneaked to the bottom of the Eternal Tower. Logically speaking, this is the most heavily guarded place in the human race, but Yebai sneaked in easily. There are 2 main reasons. First of all, Nightmare Wind, as Nightmare's former equipment, is at home in the Eternal Forest, just like returning to a happy hometown. Nightmare Wind's authority in the Eternal Forest is higher than that of many Shadow Civil War gods. With the Wind of Nightmare, Yebai's whereabouts were well covered. Secondly, the most powerful guard of the Eternal Tower is Xiaoyao, the strongest person on the 99th floor. Even if monsters do rush into the Eternal Forest, they usually flee. Anyone who wants to run to the Eternal Tower is not seeking death. Only Yebai could do such a heartbreaking thing. Yabai patted his cloak and whispered, "Take off." The cloak began to fly upwards, and Yabai's neck was sore from the rope. He rolled his eyes and kicked his legs wildly. "You can fly. But whether the pilot Yabai is alive halfway through the flight is another story." I said stop. Nightmare Wind stopped flying and returned to the ground. Yabai untied the Nightmare Wind, spread it on the ground, and sat on it. The good-looking cloak suddenly turned into a flying carpet. "Take off." Yabai started to move upward, and the height climbed little by little. The repaired Nightmare Wind can fly regardless of any rules. Yabai never told anyone about this matter. Master Ju doesn't know either. Just last night, when the white clouds shattered and Yabai began to free fall from the 99th floor. Yabai can indeed fly with the Wind of Nightmare. He doesn't fly, he just plays. Anyway, you can't fall to death. You have to hide your trump card at all times. Even in front of Master Ju, Yabai secretly hid something. Just to find a chance to sneak out and see Xiaoyao. Master Ju happened to be away tonight, so Yabai immediately seized the opportunity to have a private meeting. "If you miss this village, you won't have this store. You must not let Master Ju know about this, otherwise he will be stabbed." Master Ju probably never imagined that Yabai was so bold that he dared to meet Xiaoyao in private. The flying carpet flew very fast, and in a short while, Yabai reached above the 90th floor. When we reached the 90th floor, the flight speed dropped sharply, and it felt like a helicopter turned into an escalator. However, Yabai was not worried. This is the Eternal Tower, and there are very few people above the 90th floor. Basically we are all our own people, no risks. Just when Yabai was thinking this, he arrived at the 95th floor. On the 95th floor, there is a small window. A child with clear eyes and clean eyebrows was lying by the window, looking out. When he looked at it, he happened to catch Yabai's gaze. The two said almost in unison, "It's you. The handsome guy from the training gym." Even though Yabai was wearing a lone wolf mask, the other party recognized Yabai. The child waved excitedly and greeted Yabai. "You also rushed to the 95th floor." Yabai. He didn't know how to answer this question for a while. Yabai cleared his throat and coughed twice. "It's almost there." He is still 75 floors away from the 95th floor. The gap is less than 100 floors. In Yabai's heart, rounding off is equal to about 0. Yabai changed the subject and asked cautiously, "Where's the brother you were with during the day?" According to previous guesses, this kid and the Sunshine Youth version of Huo Tianwang should be working together. Yabai had seen King Huo Tian's cruelty before. If King Huo Tian were here, Yabai would jump down immediately. The child was stunned for a moment and realized who Yabai was talking about. A worried look flashed across his face and he said in a low voice, "You said Brother Huo, he is sleeping. Brother Huo is too seriously injured and needs more rest." "Sleeping? Then there's nothing to be afraid of." Yabai breathed a sigh of relief and said softly, "Handsome brother is going to do something higher in the tower. You must never tell others that you have met your brother. In exchange, brother won't tell others that you are here, okay?" The little boy nodded like he was pounding garlic, "Okay." This child, even if he didn't face Yabai, was as simple as a blank sheet of paper. Yabai was also a little confused. Could it be said that the former King Huo Tian was a harmless child? Unlikely. The Wind of Nightmare carried Yabai to the 99th floor. Arriving outside the 99th floor, Yabai took out the doorbell he had prepared and pressed it. Since we are looking for the most powerful person, it is not appropriate to knock on the door directly. It is more polite to ring the doorbell. Ding dong. Yabai formed a trumpet with his hands and shouted softly. "The strongest one is Xiaoyao, are you asleep?" No one responded. Yabai continued to ring the doorbell and continued to shout. "Are you asleep? Have you slept?" If you're asleep, I'll ask again in a few seconds. After asking for about 5 minutes, there was finally movement on the 99th floor. The Taoist's voice came from the tower, with a hint of weariness. What's the matter? Ye Bai was overjoyed. Great, I knew you weren't sleeping. I have a question for you. Late at night, Shuro went to the Eternal Tower to look for Zhang Xiaoao. Xiaoao didn't sleep either. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 263. Xiaoao didn't sleep either. After Xiaoao was woken up, he took the initiative and asked. Is it about clearing the 20th floor? Obviously, Xiaoao was resting before and had no time to help Ye Baika with the bug. Or, in Xiaoao's eyes, there was only one thing that happened to Ye Bai coming to find him late at night. No, that matter is not urgent. It doesn't matter if you don't pass the customs today. Ye Bai shook his head. He has matured and is no longer the ruthless bug-shooting machine. Ye Bai spoke again. I would like to ask you about the level content on the 95th floor of the Eternal Tower. And, what happened to King Huo Tian? Master Zhu once told Ye Bai that King Huo Tian drove himself crazy on the 95th floor. Ye Bai was cautious at that time. There is probably a big problem on the 95th floor. But Ye Bai also knew very well. If you ask Master Zhu directly, Master Zhu may give a correct but misleading answer. Ye Bai's best consultation partner is Xiaoao. This is why, while Master Zhu was not at home, Ye Bai sneaked outside the 99th floor of the Eternal Tower in one breath and woke up Xiaoao. After listening to Ye Bai's question, Xiaoao was silent for a moment. The sound came from the tower again. The content of the 95th level is to fight against one's own talents. Ye Bai. Fighting against your own talents. In other words, Madman Huo has to fight against the SS level talent 9 deaths without regrets. That's why he was seriously injured and dying, and his whole body fell into half madness. If it were Ye Bai who was fighting against the Eye of Insight, it sounded like, no difficulty at all. Ye Bai suddenly felt that it was not so difficult to accept. He. In this level, it is obvious that the stronger the talent, the more difficult it will be to pass the level. But what does this have to do with my most disdainful SSS level talent? Ye Bai asked further, so King Huo Tian's madness was caused by the 95th level. Right. Xiaoao explained patiently. King Huo Tian divided himself into 9 parts, 8 false and 1 true. The fake body's strength and state seem to be strong, but it has no talent. The more fake bodies die, the stronger the real body becomes. After all 8 fake bodies died, they could even help him break through the limitations of his combat power for a short period of time. It can be seen that Xiaoao is not angry about getting up. Every question was answered very seriously. That's right. After hearing the news, Ye Bai immediately realized that King Huo Tian was going to cause trouble. His escape from the black coffin was definitely not a whim, but the result of years of planning. The real body of King Huo Tian is hiding, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for the moment when all 8 fake bodies die. As for what King Huo Tian wants to do after breaking through the limit of combat power, Ye Bai has no clue for the time being. We can't just have a fight with Master Zhu to determine the number 1 war god in the human race. It sounds like something a madman could do. After getting the answer he wanted, Ye Bai said sincerely. I'm done with my questions. Finally, there is one extravagant request that I hope you can agree to. Xiaoao said calmly, say. Ye Bai scratched his head and said embarrassedly. Can you please keep my secret about me coming here tonight? Without hesitation, Xiaoao replied directly, yes. Thank you. Then I won't disturb you. You can continue to sleep. I'll bring you some hometown specialties later. With Xiaoyao's promise, Ye Bai felt at ease. The most powerful person in the human race is free and easy, and his reputation is absolutely guaranteed. In other words, among the many powerful humans, Xiaoyao is the only one who keeps his word. Sitting on the flying carpet, Ye Bai began to land and left the 99th floor. Not long after he left, Xiaoyao spoke again and said to the empty tower, "Teacher, is that okay?" "Okay." In the shadows, a black mist emerged. Yingju stood in mid-air, looking down at Thief Sun, who was chatting on the 95th floor. He didn't kill anyone tonight, and he didn't have any tasks. Even if Master Ju really wants to kill someone, it can only be done with one knife. Who deserves to be hacked by Master Ju all night long? The big devil? From the moment Ye Bai returned to the dormitory, Yingju followed him. The top war god of the human race stalks a mere level 200 Shura. If he was still found out like this, he might as well commit suicide by wiping his neck. The first moment Ye Bai entered the Eternal Forest, he was discovered by Ying San, who was staying in the Eternal Forest to recuperate. It was Yingju who told him to pretend that nothing happened and ignore this sneaky kid. The most important thing is that if Yingju hadn't woken up Xiaoyao, Ye Bai could only face the reality that Xiaoyao was asleep, even if he shouted until his throat broke. Black mist rolled in. Yingju looked at Ye Bai without saying a word. Xiaoyao spoke again. "If you do this, you won't be able to fool Shura for long." In the previous conversation between the two, Xiaoyao didn't tell a single lie. But he hid a crucial piece of information. It is this information that will temporarily confuse Shura. I didn't plan on lying to him for long. Yingju shook his head and explained. I just need a little more time, a little more. His eyes fell on Ye Bai again, and Yingju's hoarse voice sounded. He is only 18 years old, there is no need to know the truth so early. Yingju changed the subject. You said before that there was something strange happening in the abyss. Right. How soon will it turn on? One of the signs that the most powerful demon god has awakened is the opening of the most powerful abyss plane. Xiaoyao replied seriously, as short as 1 month, as long as half a year. Yingju was speechless, and so was he. The 95th floor of the Eternal Tower. Ye Bai looked at the child in the tower, sizing him up. This child was the one who was approached by the bad woman in the men's room at the beginning. The bad woman teased him with a big iron rod and wanted to show off with him. The little boy ran out with a blushing face. At that time, no one noticed his abnormality. It was only later that Ye Bai noticed that this child did not belong to the summer camp, but a person who appeared out of thin air. Moreover, this kid teamed up with the sunshine version of King Huo and appeared on the 95th floor of the Eternal Tower at the same time. The relationship between the two is extraordinary. Ye Bai was suspicious. The bad girl was beaten so badly, maybe because she took the initiative to tease little Huo Tianwang. Ye Bai said kindly. I'm 18 this year, how old are you? The child in the stone window shook his head, I don't know. Oh, right. He remembered something, Brother Huo called me Xiaju, maybe I am 9 years old this year. Oh. 9-year-old Huo Tianwang, who can do this? Could it be that King Huo Tian hid his true body at the age of 9? Ye Bai confirmed in a low voice, Brother Huo is still sleeping, right? Right. Then Ye Bai is relieved. Don't worry, it's early. On the 95th floor, a heartbeat suddenly sounded. Boom. Boom. The sound of this heartbeat was extremely threatening, causing Ye Bai's heart to beat together. In just a moment, Ye Bai felt dizzy and couldn't bear the terrifying pressure of the god of war. Xiaoju said anxiously, go quickly, he is going to wake up. Ye Baiqiang nodded and waved goodbye to Xiaoju. Then, jump down. In mid-air, Yebai made another free fall and couldn't help but roll his eyes. Jumping from the Eternal Tower twice in one day is really a shame. Sorry, this update is late at 8:30. Let's briefly explain what happened. Usually I get up at 7 o'clock, finish coding a chapter and send it out within an hour and a half, and then go out to have breakfast. The alarm clock didn't wake me up this morning. It was already 8:20 when I woke up. This is a sad story. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 264. Jump to the Eternity Tower twice a day and have a new experience each time. Familiar routines, familiar plot. Yebai landed smoothly, sneaked back to the dormitory under the night, activated the Eternal Mark, and returned to the Eternal Tower again. Done. This secret trip has come to an end. Yebai also had an unexpected gain. King Huo Tian is hiding on the 95th floor of the Eternal Tower. After returning to the exclusive space, Yebai did not forget that he still had a customer to kill. Fool, no, I said Master. Yebai found Master Fool and asked seriously. As for the previous question, how much do you plan to pay? Master Fool was already used to seeing Yebai's attitude. She thought for a moment and then said, you answer a question for me, and I'll answer a question for you. This is a fairer deal. If he really talks about money with Shura, Master Silly doubts that he will lose money to death. Shura, this guy, is full of evil intentions and is hard to guard against. Moreover, the question of Master Fool has been asked, and Shura's question has a wide range of choices. It is equivalent to Shura making a small profit. Shura usually wouldn't miss this kind of small profit. Good. Yebai asked directly, who are you? This is his problem. Even the Eye of Insight cannot fully detect the identity of Master Fool, and can only confirm that the opponent is a demon. The idiot master was stunned, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. To be honest, it doesn't hurt to tell you. I am the #1 war god under the 13th demon god, and I am also the #1 forging master of the demon clan. As he spoke, Master Fool even raised his chest and raised his head, speaking very proudly. The 13th demon god. Is it the demon god who made Yebai swear not to step into the 13th abyss and to care about his own life? Interesting. He is indeed a fool. Yebai shook his head and asked. Have you ever thought that maybe the 13th demon god betrayed you when you were caught by your second brother? After being sold and helping count the money, no wonder he said he was a fool. The difference in IQ between Master Fool and Shadow 7 may be. One is self-aware, the other is not. Second brother? The fool was stunned. Who is Shura's second brother? Do you know him? Is he talking about Wuhan? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Master Fool shook his head like a rattle, not believing Yebai's words. Obviously, she didn't believe that the 13th demon god would betray her. Believe it or not, it's up to you. With that said, Yebai turned around and left. Etc. The Fool Master was dumbfounded. How about changing the agreed question to another? Yes. Yebai blinked his big harmless eyes and asked. Any questions? What's your answer? Master Fool was afraid that Yebai would forget his question, so he took the initiative to repeat. How many series of skills did you integrate into your epiphany? Yebai said confidently. I only said I would give you the answer, but I didn't say I would give it to you now. Fool Master. None of us should pretend to be stupid. Do you dare to pat your chest and promise that what you just told me is the complete answer? Yebai said with a sneer, as if he had seen through everything. The Fool Master fell silent. Really? Scammed out. I learned this trick from Lan Lao and it works really well. Yebai also knew in his heart that it would be unrealistic for Master Fool to reveal all the details. She's just a little stupid, but not completely stupid. Let's do this, Let's make a fair deal. The demon master looked at Shura silently. She didn't believe that the word fair had anything to do with Shura. Yabai set out his own conditions. You said before that there is no room for improvement in the power of nature. What if it is reforged? The force of nature is the equipment that Yabai has used from level 10 to now. If possible, it would be best to use it until level 1000. It's okay, that's fine. The fool thought about it and helped Shura build another weapon. After reforging, there is even a chance that the force of nature will eventually be upgraded to SSS level equipment. Wouldn't this be too dangerous? I try my best. The fool master spoke again. She is a forging master, but not a forging supreme god. If she could forge SSS level equipment every time she took a shot, would she still be using it in this damn place to get Shura's aura? It's a deal. After reaching the deal, Yabai said cheerfully, I merged the 6 elements. Skill name, unlock with additional fee. Leaving behind the answer, Yabai's figure disappeared, leaving the exclusive space and heading to the wolf's lair. All that was left was a fool with a face full of disbelief. 6 series, how can it be 6 series? The first epiphany at level 200, the skills I comprehended were integrated into 6 systems. This talent can rank among the top 5, or even the top 3, among the people Master Fool knows. You know, the first time Wilhen realized the sword, it was just the water skill. Although Wilhen was only level 50 at that time, he realized the breaking of water flow. However, the difficulty of fusion of 6 series elements is more than 1,000 times greater than the enlightenment of a single series. To be precise, with each additional element fused, while the power of the skill increases, the requirements for the enlightened person are several times more stringent. And for things like epiphany, it's not just about quantity, but more importantly, quality. Enlightenment of some rubbish skills every day is of no use. Except for traceless, of course. Even the simplest sword moves are incredibly powerful in Wilhen's hands. Master Fool once saw Wilhen's moves. Some sword moves couldn't even be called sword moves, they were flat A. Can't he still kill the demon clan's 9th level god of war? The human race successively emerged from the 3 most powerful beings, Nightmare, Wilhen, and Xiaoao, which overwhelmed the demon god and made him unable to breathe. Nowadays, Shura's rise is unstoppable. Level 200 Enlightenment 6 Series Fusion Skills. After reaching level 1000 and getting the mark of the strongest, how terrifying can Shura go? Thinking of this, Master Fool burst into laughter. Anyway, it's other demons who died, it's none of my business. Help Shura make his equipment stronger, and everyone will die early and be reborn. In the wolf's den, Yabai drank mineral water and looked for someone he was familiar with. The day after I didn't see Xuemeng, I missed him. Without seeing brother Xuemeng, Yabai felt that the water in his mouth had no taste. Until a familiar figure of a macho man appeared outside the wolf den. Big Menzi, you are finally back. Yabai greeted Xuemeng warmly. I miss you so much, come on, come on. Have a bottle of Wolf's Den's best beer. The first moment Xuemeng saw Shura, he subconsciously wanted to run away. The majestic 9th level god of war, invincible and invincible in the abyssal plane, actually wants to escape. Xuemeng felt like he could hear the wail coming from his wallet. Are you separated? Seeing Xuemeng stunned on the spot, Yabai waved his hand and said seriously. There's a big business to make money. A guaranteed profit without losing any money. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 265. Wolf's Den's finest beer is served. Yabai picked up the wine glass and drank it all in one gulp, making a satisfied sound. Xuemeng? Why don't you order a bottle of beer for yourself? Whatever you like to drink, just order it. Yabai said generously, just remember to pay the bill yourself. It's hard, The hammer is hard. Xuemeng stared at the mask on Shura's face for several seconds, then suddenly said. Can't you buy me a drink? Can. Shura agreed very readily. Even Xuemeng was stunned for a moment, suspecting that he heard wrongly. Can he harvest Shura's wool? Is Shura trying to sew up the abyss and let the monster destroy his brain? Hiss. Thank you, monster. Shura finally became a human being. Yabai waved and shouted, 2 glasses of cheaper beer, charge them to my account. When 2 glasses of beer were served, Xuemeng hesitated, worried that it was a scam. Even if he downloaded the anti-fraud app, he felt that he needed to be more cautious when facing Shura. Drink, I'll pay for it, this is my promise. Yabai said seriously. Anyway, this time I was sowing the abyss and made a lot of money relying on Demenzi. Yabai still had the money to treat him to a drink. Gilug gilug. After drinking a glass of wine, Xuemeng almost cried. What kind of wine is this? It's like drinking your own hard-earned money. After such a long time, he finally got Shura's wool. Xuemeng looked at the front desk, his voice trembling slightly, and he was very excited. I bought this cup. He wanted to take the cup home and offer it to the devil's skeleton. This is definitely the most valuable trophy in Xuemeng's life, if not the most valuable. This is the witness of history, the proof of Shura's awakening of humanity, and it sounds the clarion call for Xuemeng to turn back his wool. Why are you drinking in such a hurry? No one will compete with you. Yabai pushed another glass of beer in front of Xuemeng. This one is for you too. Xuemeng was shocked again. Double happiness. He picked up the beer and drank it down in one gulp. He felt indescribably happy, even better than having the second demon god for free. He felt that even if he didn't break through to the Tongtian war god in this life, it would still be worth it. Xuemeng shouted again, I bought this cup too. Xuemeng looked at Shura and asked curiously, aren't you going to drink? Yabai nodded, I don't drink such bad beer. Xuemeng. Still not a human being, he has a good taste. If Shura remained in his previous state, Xuemeng would suspect that he was controlled by the devil. Let's talk about business, making money. Yabai said seriously. You know about King Huotian jumping into the coffin, right? No. Xuemeng nodded and lowered his voice and said. I'm only telling you one person. On the way back, I met one of the Huotian Wangs. We fought for 300 rounds, and I was slightly better. Fierce. After this trip to Stitch the Abyss, Yabai had a new understanding of Xuemeng's word meng. After Yabai praised Xuemeng, he continued to ask. Do you know the contents of the 95th floor of the Eternal Tower? Xuemeng shook his head and explained. More than 90 floors, each floor is subject to the highest level of confidentiality. We do have corresponding information, but it will only be decrypted for specific people before breaking through. One of the conditions for breaking through the 90th level is to become the heavenly god of war. So I have no way of knowing the contents of the 95th floor, so I can't help you. You don't know, I know. Yabai showed a mysterious smile. To be precise, I know part of it. Xuemeng stopped talking. I really want to ask, but I don't dare. I was embarrassed for a while. I'll use the known information to exchange something with you. Yabai tapped his fingers on the table twice and organized his words. I heard you said that King Huotian almost became your adoptive father, right? Xuemeng nodded, yes. He is really good at recognizing his father. It's just that Huotian Wang is the godfather because he has a good relationship with Xuemeng's biological father. King Huotian also had no heirs, so he raised Xuemeng as his own son. Not a foster father, but more like a foster father. Then you should know him better. Yabai said slowly, if King Huotian has the strength to temporarily reach level 1000, who do you think he will attack? The most powerful demon. Xuemeng blurted out without hesitation. But this isn't right. The abyss of power hasn't been opened yet. It's impossible. Ye Bai frowned slightly. The most powerful abyss plane? Another new knowledge. Xuemeng explained. Before the supreme demon god awakens, the supreme abyss will be opened first. You cannot fight the most powerful demon without entering the abyss of the most powerful one. Ye Bai asked, then what is the way to open the abyss of power? Generally speaking, when the Xeon seed reaches around level 500, the Xeon abyss should be opened. Ye Bai looked at his level 200. That's okay. Besides the most powerful demon god, what other goals does King Huo Tian have? Except Master Ju. Faced with Ye Bai's question, Xuemeng thought for a moment. The great demon god or the fifth demon god, choose one. I think Uncle Huo will choose the great demon god. Back then, anyway, you just need to know that between the great demon god, Uncle Huo, Uncle Ju, and me, there are not only grudges between the two clans, but also personal grudges. When he said this, Xuemeng's face that had always been careless showed a rare seriousness, and he whispered. I, Xuemeng, will definitely kill the great demon in this life. Hearing this, Ye Bai's face also darkened. If he still doesn't understand after hearing this, then he is a fool. There has always been a character that Ye Bai subconsciously ignored, as if he didn't exist, Xuemeng's biological father. A person has a biological father first, and then an adopted father. This is common sense. Even if it is placed on Xuemeng, it is the same. According to rumors, Xuemeng's biological father is the god of war. Ye Bai had never heard any legend about the other party. It seems that it was the great demon god who tricked Xuemeng's own father back then, and that's why he offended the three top combat powers of the human race in one fell swoop. Ye Bai was silent. After a moment of silence, Ye Bai spoke again. According to what you said, King Huo Tian's ultimate goal is probably the great demon god. The information I have at hand is still too little, but I suggest you dive into the first abyss and wait for the opportunity. After hearing this, Xuemeng nodded, okay. Anyway, he has nothing to do recently. If you want to dive into the abyss, you need Yingxin's help. The cost. Xuemeng rubbed his hands, looked at Shura, and made a hint. Shura was extra generous today. Is 10 God of War merits enough? Enough. Xuemeng was overjoyed. He earned 10 God of War merits from Shura, which was worth more than 100,000. Ye Bai gave Xuemeng 10 God of War merits, and then took out a conch and handed it to him. This is a magical conch, please keep it. You can use it to exchange information and open portals if necessary. Okay. After the matter was settled, Ye Bai stood up and said. I'm leaving first, please be safe on the road and keep in touch at all times. By the way, I bought 10,000 pieces of beer for you and put it at the front desk. You can take as much as you want, you're welcome. After saying that, Shura turned and left, leaving Xuemeng with a handsome back. Xuemeng was stunned again. Tonight's Shura is extraordinarily human. He successively earned from Shura 2 cups of fine wine, 10 God of War merits, and 10,000 pieces of beer. What a win! At this time, the girl at the front desk delivered the bill just in time. Brother Meng, this is your consumption bill, please sign it. Xuemeng signed the words first. Isn't it just the money for 2 wine glasses? He still has it. After signing, Xuemeng took a closer look and exclaimed. Damn it, 50 God of War merit points for one. Is this cup of yours made of SSS grade or demon bone? Hearing Xuemeng's question, the girl at the front desk had expected it and calmly explained. These 2 cups were consigned by customers at the front desk, so the prices are so high. Xuemeng asked further, who sold it on consignment? The girl at the front desk shook her head. Sorry, we cannot disclose the eternal ID of the 9th level warrior and the 1st warrior level star lone wolf. After all, we are not sure whether his name is Shura. Xuemeng. When Xuemeng looked up, Shura's figure was nowhere to be seen. Shura left silently, leaving only a bill as a souvenir to Xuemeng. As expected, he hasn't changed, he is still the young man who worked hard to pluck wool. Not long after Ye Bai left the wolf den, the entire Eternal Tower sounded a prompt, once again causing countless sensations. Congratulations to player Shura for reaching the 20th level SSSSS level evaluation. Player Shura level 5s clears the 20th floor and will be rewarded with the human buff Phoenix Nirvana in the Eternal Tower. Permanent buff Sea of Life, the effect of holy water used by humans in the Eternal Tower is add 100%, and the effect of healing potions is add 50%. Permanent buff Whale Fall, after the human race in the Eternal Tower dies, it will heal teammates 500 meters away. The treatment value is 50% of its own blood volume. Can only be used in the Eternal Tower. Permanent buff All Creation, the Eternal Tower human race will receive add 100% effect of all creation. Phoenix Nirvana, after failing to clear the Eternal Tower, the next time you enter the Eternal Tower, 30% of the progress of the previous level will be inherited. It only works below the 60th floor and only takes effect once per floor. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 266. A server-wide announcement for 5 seconds clearance sounded. Ye Bai brushed off his clothes and went away, hiding his merit and fame. Calm down, it's not the first time. As the price of the bug, Ye Bai didn't need Xuemeng to remind him again. We can't continue to break into the Eternal Tower today. Personal rewards cannot be claimed until tomorrow. Ye Bai sighed in his heart. Thank you for your hard work, old man Xiaoao. He clearly told Xiaoao Laoda that there was no need to rush to clear the level in 5s. With nothing to do, Ye Bai returned to his exclusive space and inspected his territory. The plane fragments of the 4th abyss have not yet been completely integrated with Ye Bai's exclusive space, and it may take some time. Ye Bai was not in a hurry. Everything was as usual. Ye Bai once again found the Demon Clan's Fool Master to discuss the issue of recasting the power of nature. This piece of lightning strike wood of yours is already a fine embryo. To be made like this is ridiculous. Master Fool wields the power of nature, and feels a sense of regret that he is wasting all the natural resources. She commented harshly, it's like a shoddy product made in a hurry. Ye Baixian laughed twice and said nothing. He bought the power of nature at a low price from his goblin brother. Now it seems that the force of nature may really be a piece of equipment built for Ye Bai on the spot. Now that you've finished criticizing, let's talk about how to improve. Ye Bai knew that if the power of nature was really useless, the Fool Master would not even bother to criticize it critically. This piece of lightning strike wood is based on the lightning and wood elements, and the recasting is also based on this. Master Fool returned the power of nature to Ye Bai and said seriously. One of the conditions for recasting is that your Eternal Sea must fit in with these two systems. If you want to forge SSS level equipment, you must have the assistance of the Eternal Sea. Otherwise, why do you think I am here? The Fool Master was placed in Ye Bai's exclusive space. It was just to use Ye Bai's Eternal Sea to cooperate when building SSS level equipment. The current Shura Sea has only two elemental elements, Shadow Element and Water Element. If you want to add elemental systems, it's simple, throw money. First of all, the added elements must be owned by Ye Bai himself, wind, thunder, fire, and wood. Secondly, Ye Bai must invest a huge amount of materials and resources. Finally, Poseidon's Curse 2.0 still affects Ye Bai's Shura Sea. At the same level, he needs to invest 4 times the materials to obtain 2 times the scale. After listening to the words of Master Fool, Ye Bai pondered. In other words, to recast the power of nature, I need to add thunder and wood elements to Shura-C first. Master Fool nodded, yes. Hiss. Ye Bai took a breath and said with a trembling heart, that will cost a lot of money. Just don't recast it. If the force of nature could speak, it would be scolding you right now. Close your eyes. Ye Bai scolded. After feeling distressed for 5 full seconds, Ye Bai sighed. Okay, thunder type, wood type, right? I'll buy 100 million points of materials and come back. As he spoke, a white light flashed, and Ye Bai entered the secret realm of trading. Ye Bai lined up 4 anonymous merit cards, each worth 100,000. Brother, here are 2 copies of thunder-type materials and 2 copies of wood-type materials. The goblin brother kindly sent me a list. 4th brother, my boss has already ordered the materials. Check it out. The total is 400,000 God of War merits. Just hearing this number, Ye Bai felt that he was close to the conditions for using Surrounding the Sky. Ye Bai clutched the merit card and tried his last effort. Didn't your boss say anything about discounts or free gifts during events? The goblin boy smiled bitterly and shook his head, no. Ye Bai, you can have this. This really doesn't exist. The goblin boy said seriously, 4th brother, let go, it's been 5 minutes. Wait a minute, wait a minute. There is a kind of love called letting go. After 10 minutes, Ye Bai took a few deep breaths and finally chose to let go. Money and goods are cleared. Wealth value plummeted by 50%. Ye Bai remembered this blood feud on the head of Poseidon. After all, that guy owed Ye Bai 1.56 million God of War merits. With 2 series of materials, Ye Bai returned to his exclusive space. He was surprised to find that 1/3 of the shadow-type materials in Shura-C had been digested. Ye Bai repeatedly confirmed that these materials were not eaten by Blue, but because of Blue's presence, the absorption of the materials was accelerated. In other words, Blue accelerated the consumption of Ye Bai's wealth. For a moment, Ye Bai was in a very complicated mood, loving and hating Blue. Putting the material in the Shura-C, Ye Bai forced himself not to look at it. Otherwise, the Taoist heart will easily collapse. 400,000, the entire 400,000 God of War merits were spent like this. How long will it take for Xuemeng's wool to be collected into 400,000? It's just spent like this. He looked down at the force of nature and said viciously. If you don't become SSS level equipment, I will use you as firewood later. Force of nature. Master Fool, you said humans don't lie to demons. In the remaining time, Ye Bai practiced his skills in the exclusive space and tried various combat combinations. It wasn't until 6:10, when the Eternal Tower clearance time was over, that he stopped and summoned the Eternal Core Crystal. A white light flashed, and Ye Bai's figure disappeared from the place and returned to Blue Star. Summer Camp Special Training, Area C. Returning to the familiar dormitory, seeing familiar shadows, life is back on track again. After a busy night, Ye Bai stretched out and said with a relaxed smile. Good morning, Master Ju. In the dark mist, Ying Ju said coldly. Morning, you kid should know what I'm going to say, right? Stop it, no matter how much money you pay, I will not go to King Huo Tian to risk my life. Ye Bai raised his right hand and stopped Master Ju from adding money. It's really not about money this time. He analyzed calmly. Look, King Huo Tian can't beat me to death no matter what, right? Right. After receiving Ying Ju's affirmative answer, Ye Bai continued. Since he won't beat me to death, the final result will be that I beat him to death. The youthful version of Huo Tianwang is definitely not his final true form. Ye Bai counted on his fingers. 8 are false and 1 is true, and the remaining 7 have probably been solved. Once the remaining one is killed by me, the real body will briefly break through the limit of combat power. This is probably part of King Huo Tianwang's plan. I guess he wasn't crazy when he made the plan, right? During the small group communication, Yingju once told Ying 1, 2, and 3 that the last avatar should be handed over to Shura. Listening to Ye Bai's analysis, Yingju fell silent in the black mist. But Ye Bai subconsciously ignored one thing. As long as you take action to deal with King Huo Tian, I will tell you my true origin. He would offer a price Shura couldn't refuse. It's okay to always bully someone who is afraid of being bullied. Yingju had nothing to say. After these words, both of them fell into an eerie silence. Just look at the fate of bad women and you will know how miserable they are. Therefore, Yingju needs Ye Bai to take action to get rid of Huo Tianwang's last fake body. If Huo Tianwang plays such a big role this time, his real body will definitely turn the world upside down. Don't question the minds of those who truly emerged from the mountains of corpses and seas of blood. When faced with beings weaker than himself, Huo Tianwang always strikes hard and shows no mercy. From a certain perspective, Ye Bai was indeed right. Ye Bai had nothing to say. Since Ye Bai could have a rough idea of King Huo Tian's plan. Wearing the heavenly king's sword on his waist, carrying the power of nature in his hand, and wearing the wind of nightmare, the sea of Shura is looming, his momentum climbs little by little, and his whole state reaches its peak. As usual, I brushed my teeth, washed my face, and placed the towels, toothbrushes neatly. Then Yingju will only see it more clearly than Ye Bai. The strong men of the older generation, those who have survived 30 years of bloody battles, are more ruthless than the last. Moreover, Ye Bai would definitely not die in a fight with King Huo Tian. After a moment of silence, Yingju's hoarse voice came again. After analyzing this, Ye Bai spread his hands like a little bear. Ye Bai opened the window, looked out the window at the eternal forest, and looked at the eternal tower. Ye Bai was stunned for a moment, a trace of surprise flashed deep in his eyes, and his expression quickly returned to normal. With an indifferent look on his face, and even a hint of murderous intent in his tone, he asked. Master Ju, King Huo Tian is hiding on the 95th floor of the Eternal Tower. But the pain of skin and flesh is probably unavoidable. Obviously, he did not expect that Yingju would come up with such a bargaining chip. Am I stupid? Since I guessed King Huo Tian's plan, why should I cooperate with him? As long as Ye Bai doesn't kill the last fake body, Huo Tianwang's real body will feel as uncomfortable as Kevin, and he can't wait to jump out of the coffin and punch Ye Bai to death. What if Yingju can rely on Huo Tianwang's plan to achieve his goal? Judging from Ye Bai's experience in dealing with, should I help him pick a grave with good feng shui first, or should I just kill him? Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 267. Listening to Ye Bai's words, Yingju from the black mist said coldly. Are you so brave? Ye Bai gave himself a thumbs up. You're kidding, I'm super brave, okay. Wait until he comes to you. Yingju spoke again. Crazy Huo's last avatar, his only wish is to compete with the most powerful seeds. If this wish is not fulfilled, his fake body will not die. Ye Bai. Master Ju's words are quite informative. From this tone, Master Ju must have taken the time to kill Huo Tianwang's fake body, but failed. Ye Bai remembered that when he met Xiaju last night, Xiaju said that Brother Huo was too seriously injured. Now it seems that Master Ju has contributed a lot. This knife was somewhat personal. Now that Master Ju has said this, Ye Bai will let King Huo go for the time being. After all, it is still unclear who will win in a real fight. Ye Bai felt that it would be fine for him and Huo Tianwang to be on a 50-50 basis now. The outcome is 50-50ths, Ye Bai wins 50%, Huo Tianwang loses 50%, which adds up to 100%. Very reasonable. There is a 50% probability that Ye Bai will win with full health. The other 50% chance is that Ye Bai's blood will kill him. After washing up, Ye Bai walked out of the dormitory and had breakfast in the cafeteria. Apparently, Zhaolin also started a small stove with feet and ate the freshest ingredients. During the meal, Ye Bai said to himself, "Master Zhu, do you think it's a bit strange that Feet was injured? Before, when sowing the abyss, only Fight was seriously injured. After leaving the Suture Abyss and returning to Blue Star, Fight was still seriously injured by the monster. It's not that Fight himself is weak, but that the monsters seem to be coming towards him. It's definitely a bit weird." Yang Ju rarely agreed with Ye Bai's statement. But it's not unusual for anything to happen around the strongest seeds. Look at what you said, what I have almost become. Ye Bai threw the kuakui bun into the spicy soup, finished it in one go, and let out a sigh of relief. "Master Zhu, Mr. Lan told me before that if the general's shadow takes the initiative to speak to the protector, he will be fined 2,500 gold coins for each word. Just out of curiosity, how much is the fine for a shadow of the god of war class who takes the initiative to speak?" Yang Ju snorted coldly, 10,000 gold coins. Hiss. A true millionaire. Ye Bai felt that he should take some time to chat with Master Zhu more. There is a kind of joy in mining gold mines, just like reading novels for free and getting paid. "By the way, Master Zhu," Ye Bai asked softly. "Brother Zongshan's little black box, is it standard for shadow? He has 4,399 shadows, and he is a good prospect who is in the top 5,000 of the general level. How could he not be there?" After all, Ye Bai really wanted a little black box. If it were normal, Ye Bai would have so many bad things. Yang Ju either chooses to remain silent and ignore Ye Bai, or just draw the sword and shut up this thief. But today is different from the past. After all, Master Zhu is temporarily seeking help from Ye Bai, and his attitude should be a little better. Yang Ju said impatiently. "Generally, generals don't have small black boxes, only war kings can have them." Ye Bai became more energetic and asked, "Master Zhu, I completed the SSS level mission last time, isn't it worth a war king level?" Yang Ju sneered, "Haha, how about I rate you as a god of war?" Ye Bai couldn't hear Master Zhu's sarcasm at all, and seriously considered the proposal. "It's not impossible." After hesitating for a moment, Ye Bai shook his head. "Forget it. If you upgrade too quickly, will it feel like an imperial decree?" Finally, Master Zhu was really impatient. Throwing a small black box to Ye Bai made him calm down. "Enter a number and username yourself and don't bother me this morning." "Okay." After getting his wish, Ye Bai took the small black box and felt like he had bought a mobile phone for nothing. He hesitated and did not enter 17173. The ranking is too low and there is no ranking. 4,399, 4,396, 7,777? After thinking about it, Ye Bai finally entered four numbers, 8,888. Fa. This is a wonderful wish. I hope he can earn back the 400,000 God of War merit he spent in the next period of time. Username, Death Song. Death Song, Bastard 8888, has logged in. Looking at the prompt above, Ye Bai was slightly stunned. When I entered it, it was the number 8. How come the serial number turned into Chinese characters? With this ID, Ye Bai felt like someone was scolding him as a bastard. "Thanks, I was offended." Ye Bai was anxious and urged in a low voice. "Master Zhu, how do you change this number?" "Master Zhu, I was wrong, give me a chance. I want to challenge Wang Yi. I want to fight 10. No matter what Ye Bai said, Master Zhu remained unmoved and showed no response in the shadow. Ye Bai gave up and could only continue to play with the little black box. Let's do this for now, let's start. The appearance of the small black box can be changed. Under Yebai's control, it turned into the shape of a new black mobile phone, which looked unconventional. Search user Ying Kizhong. User Chongshan, Ying Qi, would you like to add him as a friend? Yebai was stunned. Lu Qinjiao became Ying Qi? It's only been less than 3 days. What a quick start. Brother Zhongshan has some trump cards, which is normal. It is not shameful for Zhao Ziyan to lose to Lu Qinjiao, and it is also very reasonable. Yebai continued to search. Search user Shadow 10. Logically speaking, Lu Qinjiao defeated Zhao Ziyan, and the two exchanged rankings. The current Shadow 10 should be the previous Shadow 7. User nameless, Shadow 10, do you want to add it as a friend? The self-exploding guy, Shadow 28, has been approved as your friend. After the shadow is rolled in, the gangster will be suppressed by the king of roll. In less than 10 minutes, Yebai watched Zhao Ziyan fall from Shadow 22 to Shadow 36. Picking up the small black box, Yebai sent a message to the other party. How much ranking has Shadow 7 dropped? I felt sorry for her for 0.1 seconds. For example, my predecessor Ying Qi, I don't know where he is now. What a miserable shadow. Looking at the prompt on the small black box, Yebai was stunned again. This was still falling in real time, right? Yebai quickly realized something else. Worse than the stock price? Death song, Brother Qi, this is my death song. In the previous movie 11, Ying Jinghua, who had been guarding Lao Lao, and Lian Liankan's mentor? Yebai searched for a long time and finally found a familiar ID. After all, the stock still has a lower limit. Zhao Ziyan's decline is endless, and he doesn't know when it will end. Who is this? Shadow materials surged last night. Apparently, the shadows are starting to involute. User self-explosion guy, Shadow 22, would you like to add him as a friend? If Lao Su is a disgrace to the 9th level god of war, Zhao Ziyan, the self-destructive boy, is about to become a disgrace to the shadow god of war. A strong person in the shadow system has something to do with shadow. From Shadow 7 to Shadow 22, this drop is a bit shocking. For a moment, Yebai even wanted to start searching from Yingzhiju. It feels like that would be faster. Looking at Zhao Ziyan's message, Yebai fell into silence. The guy who blew himself up is typing. Yebai felt that the situation had opened up, and his ideas for making money suddenly broadened. The self-destructive guy, Shadow 36, has become your friend, let's chat together. Yebai had an ominous premonition. This is it. Was this bastard taken down because he had no cards? Does that mean that these two sheep, these two people need their own encouragement? Is there a possibility? Sending a friend request to the self-exploding guy, Shadow 24, waiting for the other party to approve. For a moment, Yebai didn't know what to say. The guy who blew himself up, ahem, last time we were apart for many days, I also missed my little friend a little. However, I was seriously injured in the battle and had no time to take care of anything else. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 268. Sitting in the multimedia classroom, Yebai played with his new mobile phone and chatted with Zhao Ziyan. The guy who blew himself up, Shadow 49, I haven't seen you for a few days, and my little friend has actually been promoted to the Battle King level. Not bad, not bad. Yebai. Why do you still have time to care about my problems? Shouldn't you worry about yourself now? According to the rate at which Zhao Ziyan's ranking is declining, Yebai feels that it won't be long before he can meet her at the Battle King level. That's not right. Zhao Ziyan was a very good girl. Why did her level drop so fast? Sick. Yebai, an old Chinese medicine doctor, went online and began diagnosing the patient's condition. Death Song, Brother Chi, are your injuries a bit serious? Why don't you call me an expert and have a look? The guy who blew himself up, it's hard to describe in one sentence. Obviously, Ye Bai's seventh brother was very useful to Zhao Ziyan. She kept her position at 49 and was temporarily stable at Shadow 49. She also took time out to vent her bitter feelings to Ye Bai. Self-explosion guy, this starts with Shura's creation of Wind's infinite distance. Ye Bai. Why did I eat melon again on myself? Under Zhao Ziyan's explanation, Ye Bai understood the cause and effect. The gods of war in the shadow have basically learned the infinite wind. Even if this magical skill cannot be used in a large abyss, it is still worthwhile to learn it as a trump card. Zhao Ziyan wanted to save face and declared that she had not learned. She definitely can't use the skills she hasn't learned. She can't afford to embarrass this person. So a very strange situation occurred. Everyone who challenged Zhao Ziyan found that she really didn't use wind of no distance, which was equivalent to directly deducting R in the big fight. She doesn't need it, someone else does. In addition, Zhao Ziyan has no trump card to begin with. If she doesn't fall, who will fall? After hearing this sad story, Ye Bai fell into deep thought. Zhao Ziyan raised a very pointed question, but Ye Bai had never considered it. In a sense, the undistanced wind is an epoch-making magical skill, which has changed the status of the wind method and has had a far-reaching impact. So, how did Ye Bai crack this trick? Since wind without distance is on public sale, most of Ye Bai's enemies can also get the wind without distance skill book. Ye Bai wouldn't be surprised if the abyss monster learned it one day. How to crack it? Ye Bai has no clue for the time being. But, he knew someone who might have. Ye Bai picked up the small black box phone and entered a message. Death Song, Brother Chi, do you still remember the soul-related issues mentioned before? Self-explosion guy, remember, have you written it? Death Song, well, I will send 10 articles to Brother Chi. Please pass Brother Chi on to Mr. Lan. Death Song, as a reward, can you help me make a condition to Mr. Lan? Ye Bai briefly stated his request. On the other side of the small black box, Shadow 49, Zhao Ziyan, was slightly stunned. Is this okay? She gasped. She didn't realize that Death Song had a very high IQ. Soon, Zhao Ziyan received 10 soul-related articles and forwarded them to Lan Lao together with the conditions of the Death Song. Eternal Tower, 11th floor. The only high tower otaku, Mr. Lan, is currently working at his desk, making a guide for the 11th floor. He has never been busier than he is now in the past few decades. I broke into the Eternal Tower at night and started making a guide after I couldn't get through the level. In just a few days, he went from the 9th floor to the 12th floor, and his level was also upgraded to level 89. His progress was very rapid. Did he? There was an extra email in the mailbox, and Mr. Lan glanced at it. This little girl Zhao Ziyan recommended 10 soul-related papers to me. Even if Lan Lao writes it himself, it will take a long time to write a soul-related paper. Writing 10 articles in one breath is a joke. What's more, it was an email from Zhao Ziyan, a typical academic scumbag. Most people may simply ignore it. Lan Lao opened the email, glanced at it, and his expression changed. Is this, written by Shura? The quality of the paper is unexpectedly high, better than the paper written by Mr. Lan himself. After reading 10 papers quickly, Mr. Lan was thoughtful. Many things in the paper were very inspiring to him, and he couldn't digest them all for a while. If this is the case, there may be other solutions to the problems that have been bothering Brother Ninth. Lan Lao looked at the last line of the email and his expression was startled again. Want to find a way to restrain Wind's infinite distance and ask for it to be kept secret. This is also Shura's request, right? Generally speaking, if you want to restrain the Wind's infinity, you can't start with skills, but directly restrict the space. Unable to move quickly, wins no distance naturally lost most of it. Once and for all. But there is a drawback in doing this, you will injure the enemy by 1000, but you will lose 800 by yourself. Obviously it doesn't meet Shura's needs. Lan Lao thought for a moment, took out his cell phone and started dialing. Pick up Shui Meng. I'll send it to you if you have a request. You can go to your second father with the request form. Okay, that's it? Hang up the phone, Shura's matter comes to an end. Mr. Lan looked at the 10 papers in the email again and fell into deep thought. Training camp, multimedia classroom in Area C. Jingle bell. Just after the morning class ended, Ye Bai received another message from Zhao Ziyan. Self-explosion guy, Mr. Lan replied to the email. There are attached items. I will forward them to you. Death song, good. A well-sealed oil paper package appeared in the small black box. Obviously, Zhao Ziyan did not peek during the handover. Even before he opened the oil paper bag, Ye Bai could feel the sharp sword energy inside. Hiss. Could it be what Ye Bai thought? Ye Bai secretly opened the oil paper bag and found 10 skill books lying quietly inside. The ink on the skill book is not even dry yet. Skill book, Tear Open Wounds. Tear Open Wounds, when slashing, it will cause continuous bleeding damage to the enemy, 100 add 20% physical attack add 15% magic power, /second, and add the effect of open wounds, which lasts for 5 seconds. Tear Open Wound effect, the target carrying this effect will continuously lose blood from the wound during movement, causing damage, and will receive an additional 30% physical damage equivalent to the displacement distance, lasting for 5 seconds. Consumption, none. Cooling, 5s. Note, I wandered in the first abyss, and received letters from old friends, and gained some insights. This familiar smell, this plain tone, this damn insouciance. It's self-evident who made it. Ye Bai rubbed his temples. What is this? Front-end staff Zhao Ziyan raised a question. The black-hearted party Shura outsourced the project to Lan Lao. The product manager Lan Lao made a request for the humanoid walking sword enlightenment machine Wuhan, and finally produced the skill book Tear the Wound. After going around in a big circle, the problem was solved by the second brother. Ye Bai made up his mind. This skill book won't be filled with Shui Meng's wool. He couldn't bear it. If you use the second brother's sword to pick off the wool of the second brother's adopted son, is he still a human being? Mainly, Ye Bai felt that Shui Meng probably already knew how to do it, and there would be no profit left. But Lao Su and Lao Zhao are there. Ye Bai took out the lone wolf medal and sent a message to Lao Su. Old Su, do you want a skill book? While waiting for Lao Su's reply, Ye Bai picked up the small black box and asked Zhao Ziyan the same question. I want. After reading the skill introduction, Zhao Ziyan's eyes flashed with light. It turned out to be true. This skill can completely defeat the wind. As long as this skill has nothing to do with Shura, that's fine. In the end, Ye Bai offered a price, and Zhao Ziyan agreed directly without even counter-offering. Looking at the 1,500 God of War merits, Ye Bai fell into deep thought. Is this money too easy to earn? At this time, Lao Su also replied. Su Qingfeng, there is such a skill book. I will order one, no, 2 copies. How much does one cost? Shura, I just sold a copy for 1,500 God of War merits. Su Qingfeng, I understand the rules, 2,000 copies. Ye Bai. This was the first time he had seen a sheep taking off its hair and skin on its own initiative to be picked up by someone. Lao Su is too proactive. Hey, 4,000 God of War merits have been credited to your Wolf Lair savings card. In the blink of an eye, Ye Bai had obtained 5,500 God of War merits. Looking at the remaining 6 skill books, Ye Bai suddenly felt that he had made a loss. Shadow, cross the level to challenge the arena. Shadow 49, the self-destruction boy, returned to a familiar battlefield. Her eyes were extremely determined, and her right hand rested on the handle of the knife, as if it were a beast about to bite someone. The wound is in my hand, and I have the world. Tear. Tear me apart hard. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 269. Shadow, cross the level to challenge the arena. Accompanied by the sound of wounds being torn apart, with disbelief in his eyes, a strong man refused to fall. The guy who blew himself up wins. A halo flashed on Zhao Ziyan's wrist, and the number on the halo changed rapidly, finally staying at 13. Shadow 13. Zhao Ziyan's eyes were extremely determined, and he felt his blood boiling. She's not trying to prove how great she is. She wants to tell others that what she has lost must be taken back with her own hands, with the help of Death Song. Taking advantage of the little time left, Zhao Ziyan rushed to his opponent and said urgently, "Quick, swear." The man smiled helplessly and shook his head, swearing on his real name that he would never reveal the details of the battle with Zhao Ziyan. Especially Zhao Ziyan's skill that can reverse the situation and cause damage by moving. After the other party finished swearing, the figures of both parties flickered, leaving the arena and returning to reality. Great! Zhao Ziyan waved his fists, excited. Relying on tearing the wound, she rushed to Shadow 13 in one breath. Who should I challenge next, Shadow 12 or Shadow 11? While Zhao Ziyan was excited, he did not forget the biggest contributor this time. After the challenge, making the other party swear to keep it secret was what Death Song taught her. Don't tell me, it really works. Death Song finally understands these side theories. She took out the small black box and started typing. The guy who blew himself up, Death Song, my injury has improved, and I am now back to 13. Death Song, awesome, wonderful, wonderful. Self-explosion guy, I plan to challenge Shadow 11, and I'm 60% sure of winning. Death Song, 60% sure, isn't that a sure defeat? Why fight? Zhao Ziyan looked at the information on the small black box and fell into deep thought. Although she didn't score high in every exam when she was in school, she still listened carefully to math. Shij's math teacher seems to be worse than me. What does a 60% chance of winning have to do with inevitable defeat? Death Song, 60% certainty, which is equivalent to losing 40% before the fight begins. If we lose another 40% in the battle, we will only have a 20% chance of winning, which is almost zero after rounding off. Zhao Ziyan read this passage 3 times. It seems that there is nothing wrong with what you said. The guy who blew himself up, in my opinion, what should I do now? Death Song, keep a low profile and become a blockbuster. On the other side of the little black box, Ye Bai explained his fighting philosophy in detail, which opened Zhao Ziyan's eyes. Finally, he concluded. The person who spends the most money and hides the most cards will be the one who lives the longest. If you can only use one whole card, don't use 2. The guy who blew himself up, after hearing what my friend said, I suddenly became enlightened. The guy who blew himself up, I'll have a few drinks with my friends tomorrow, and I'll go fight with the monsters later. She is still the same middle school student, and has not changed at all. Ye Bai put away the small black box, and Zhao Ziyan's matter came to an end. What he has to worry about now is King Huo Tian. If I guess correctly, King Huo Tian will come to your door this afternoon at the latest. Ye Bai and Zhu Ye made an agreement that if King Huo Tian comes to fight, Ye Bai will fight against him. Zhu Ye is responsible for keeping Ye Bai's identity secret. In the training hall, during a break, Feng Dong came over with a face full of joy. "Brother Bai, I'm treating you tonight." He pointed in the direction of the canteen and whispered, "I'll pay for it, and we'll open a small stove at night." Ye Bai couldn't help but be curious, "What are you so happy about?" Fit added on the side. "He just spent all his money." Hearing this, Ye Bai looked at Feng Dong with surprised eyes. "Are you still so happy after all the money is spent? This person may have some serious illness. It's just a little money." Feng Dong waved his hand nonchalantly, unable to suppress the excitement in his bones. "I just bought a skill book from my nephew, and the effect, ahem, I can't talk about this. But one thing I can be sure of is that the skill book comes from the hands of a strong person." Feng Dong hid a lot of information and pretended to be the Riddler. Little did he know, all his cards had been seen through. Listening to Feng Dong's words, Ye Bai's face seemed to be smiling but not smiling, and he said casually, "Even if it was created by a strong god of war, how much can a skill book cost?" Feng Dong replied casually, "Not much, 4,000 god of war merits." Puff. Hearing this number, Ye Bai almost spit out blood. "Hello, old Su. A guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes actually works as a second-hand dealer to make money from the price difference. Hateful. So much." Zhao Lin whispered, his face full of surprise. "I heard that one war god's meritorious service is equal to 1 million gold coins. Brother Dong, you are too rich." "Right." Fit explained, "He spent all the rewards from the last SSS level mission." Ye Bai felt that his heart was bleeding. He sold 3 copies of Open the Wound for 5,500 merits of the God of War, while Lao Su sold 1 copy for 4,000. After all, Ye Bai lost 6,500 God of War merits. Ye Bai could only comfort himself. "It's okay, there will be more opportunities to pick up Lao Su's wool in the future. As a 9th level God of War, Lao Su has a lot of room for improvement. Even if he has received salary these years, his family fortune is not thin." Moreover, Ye Bai realized something. He can use Lao Su to steal Feng Dong's wool. It would be inconvenient for Shura himself to earn this money. Lao Su is like a first-level agent, distributing various precious items provided by Shura. It can also be regarded as helping Ye Bai open up sales and better harvest the wool. The only thing he has to guarantee is that Ye Bai earns the bulk of the profit, but he wants the middlemen not to raise prices too high. Just when Ye Bai was worried about money, he saw a familiar beautiful girl with a big iron scumbag. The second Master Ying, a bad woman. The SS level talent special training camp was supposed to communicate with Area B today. Unfortunately, the second master hasn't fought Ye Bai yet, so they come again. The bad woman walked into the training hall. She didn't rush to trouble Ye Bai, but looked at the time. "It's 3 o'clock, let's pee first." This is what Master Ju taught them. They should go to the toilet at regular times and at the same time, so that they can live more like human beings. It has to be said that Master Ju can always teach some weird things, and he does so in the name of the first step in becoming a human being. Don't ask why, just ask and draw the sword. Standing in front of the bathroom, the bad woman hesitated. She had just been beaten in the men's room yesterday, and she had a psychological shadow. The bad girl headed to the women's room, wanting to end the fight as quickly as possible. As soon as she walked into the empty bathroom, the cold voice of a sunny boy came from above her head. "Shura, I heard that you passed the level in 5s last night." "Bad woman. Can you please stop slapping me in the face? This is her only request, please." Before he finished speaking, a fist as big as a casserole came down hard. Boom. Abuse of food is about to break out. A few minutes later, the second master, who had gained a lot of weight except for his face, walked out of the bathroom unsteadily. A sneer curled up at the corner of her mouth, and the bad woman's face was 1 part sneer, 1 part cool, and 1 part careless. What the hell, Huo Tianwang, the second most powerful god of war in the human race, the fierce rival of Master Ju, the best boxer in the world. It's all nonsense. I tried my best to kill my mother. Twice. If I am so brave, Ying I should be my mother. My head was buzzing with random thoughts, and 5 identical people walked in front of me. The bad woman rolled her eyes. After all, she couldn't withstand Huo Tianwang's beating and passed out again. Unconscious. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 270. The Sunny Boy version of King Huo jumped out of the window of the women's restroom. He walked quickly to the corner and shouted in a low voice. Xiaju, let's go. Brother Huo. A slightly childish voice sounded, and the moment he heard the voice, King Huo Tian's expression changed. There is someone besides Xiaju. The other party can still avoid his detection and approach Xiaoju quietly. There are only a few people who can achieve this level near the eternal forest. King Huo Tian roared like a beast from deep in his throat. Old Ju, get out. Jajaja. I don't know why, but Master Ju particularly likes this kind of villain's laughter. Black mist rose and spread around. Everyone within the black mist was forcibly pulled to another space. 4 figures stand. The wary-looking King Huo Tian, the slightly nervous child, the boy wearing shadow armor, and Yingju. King Huo Tian walked quickly in 2 steps to protect Xiaoju. Xiaoju tugged at the corner of his sleeve. Brother Huo, you got into a fight with someone again. King Huo Tian said in an extremely weak voice. It's out of the way. He turned to look at the armored young man, who had a heavenly king sword at his waist. You are Shura. King Huo Tian will never admit his mistake with this sword. Since the heavenly king's sword is following Shura, it's true. Ye Bai nodded, yes. Ye Bai had been watching the scene where King Huo Tian beat up the bad woman just now. Collecting as much information about the enemy as possible will be more beneficial for combat. I have to say that King Huo Tian was really ruthless. Ye Baiwen calls him the god of toilet war. Without further ado, King Huo Tian snorted coldly. Since you and Lao Ju have appeared, are you planning to kill me and bury me here? When Xiaoju heard the word kill, anxiety flashed across his face and he wanted to move forward, but was pushed back by King Huo Tianwang. Huo Tianwang's boxing skills are unparalleled in the world, and his strength control is very exquisite. He just stopped Xiaoju without hurting him at all. Looking at the scene in front of him, Ye Bai narrowed his eyes slightly. He noticed a detail. King Huo Tian's attitude towards Xiaoju is not like facing his teenage self. More like a babysitter. The 95th floor. Third brother, what did you hide from me? Hiss, you weren't followed by the old guy last night, were you? SSS level talent, there is no second awakening. Someone is anxious, I won't say who it is. Ye Bai opened his eyes again, and instead of thinking about this matter, he spoke calmly. I, Shura, have been upright throughout my life, and I have never taken advantage of others' danger. Huo Tianwang looked stern, showing some admiration. He didn't expect that Shura was such a person. Ye Bai continued. You are seriously injured and you have just fought against Ying Er. If I fight to the death with you now, wouldn't I be as despicable as the demons? These words are righteous and resounding. Yingju almost believed it. King Huo Tianwang also had a solemn expression, full of admiration, and cupped his hands and fists. Yes, you are worthy of being the strongest seed of our human race. This kind of mind is worth a few more punches from me. He changed the subject. In your opinion, how to fight this fight? Ye Bai suddenly asked an irrelevant question. Have you ever flipped a coin? King Huo Tian frowned. What? Ye Bai patiently explained. A coin has 2 sides. The more times you toss a coin, the closer the result will be to the real probability. You should have learned simple probability, right? King Huotian's expression froze, then he returned to his natural state, nodded and said. It's natural. Don't show your cowardice by showing anything. You can't say anything you don't understand. Wouldn't that make you look stupid? So, the outcome of a fight is too random. Yabai made a bold suggestion. How about we play 99 games and see who wins more games? This is the closest to the true level of both sides. Huo Tianwang, Yingju. As for the card bug, I asked Shura to figure it out. No. King Huotian rejected Shura's proposal, hesitated for a moment, and spoke again. If I were of your generation, I would agree to your proposal without hesitation. He he. Yabai sneered in his heart. A contemporary of mine? You won't even know who I am. 99 games. I want to eat shit. King Huotian said slowly, now I will fight you 3 times at most. Yabai was afraid that he would regret it, so he insisted, then 3 games. 3 games is 3 games. Although I don't know what Huo Tianwang's plan is, I don't know what Master Ju wants to plan. But Yabai knew that he needed time now. With time, Yabai can improve his strength, find out the secrets of the 95th floor, and find out what these 2 old monsters are planning. One word, drag. The first game is tomorrow. Come to Area C and I'll wait for you. After Yabai finished speaking, he added. If you and I fight, we don't have to do it in the toilet, an unclean place. Yabai was very cautious and wanted to avoid Huo Tianwang's home court. Toilet god of war, be careful. King Huo Tian nodded, he could accept Shura's proposal. Yabai continued. The content of the first competition is determined by me, and each subsequent competition is determined by the loser of the previous one. Regardless of the outcome, how about playing 3 games? Good. King Huotian agreed. He has no regrets about being able to fight against the strongest seeds 3 times in a row. Moreover, Shura was so upright and refused to take any advantage of him. He also gave himself time to recover and recharge his batteries. King Huotian decided in his heart that Shura was a good person. King Huotian seemed to see the shadow of a nightmare in Shura. They are all such sunny and upright people. Farewell. Now that the matter has been finalized, King Huotian takes Xiaju away. Yingju did not stop them and allowed the 2 of them to leave the black mist. It wasn't until King Huotian walked away that a series of laughter came from the black mist. Jajaja. Boy, if I didn't know your virtues, I might have been deceived by you. Be aboveboard, upright, and unyielding. Do you really know what these 2 words mean? Yabai spread his hands and said helplessly. What can I do? I'm desperate too. When I fight against the current King Huo, I only have an 80% chance of winning. It's almost a guaranteed loss. High EQ, I don't want to take advantage of others' danger and fight another day. Low EQ, let me, Shura High, digest the thunder and wood materials, increase the winning rate to 95%, and then I will hammer you. Call. With a sigh of relief, Yabai had a better understanding of King Huotian's strength. Such a strong man, just facing him head-on puts a lot of pressure on Yabai. This is Yabai's strongest opponent since his debut, except for the projection of the strongest. The black mist space created by Master Ju is considered part of the Eternal Tower. Fighting here, even if you are killed, you can still be resurrected without any worries. Even so, Yabai was not willing to fight against Huo Tianwang with an 80% winning rate. That was King Huo Tian, the top 2 war gods of the human race, the real top powerhouse. If you underestimate the other party, Yabai will die. 20% probability? Creating miracles is one of the things this kind of person is best at. The black fog dissipated, and Yabai returned to the training hall to participate in the afternoon training. Feng Dong served as the host for dinner, and Yebai ate 3 large bowls in a row. He wants to get back the 18,000 God of War merits he lost. There are 6 copies of Tear the Wound left. Yebai does not plan to sell them for the time being, so he will keep them in his hands for now. The more you sell, the more you lose. After dinner and evening repair, Yebai returned to the dormitory, waiting silently for 12 o'clock to arrive. Dong. When the clock rang at 12 o'clock, Yebai and Juye said hello and entered the Eternal Tower to clear the barrier. The personal rewards for level 25s have not been distributed yet. This bug has been stuck for a while. However, Yebai asked Master Ju in advance if he could start to break through the level, and received a positive reply. Choose the number of layers. 21 floors. The Eternal Core Crystal's white light flashed, and a familiar sound sounded in Yebai's ears. I wish you can clear the Eternal Tower as soon as possible.